could spot something that the owner might not have seen.
I really need you as a professional to explain to the viewers why raw food is so amazing.
Don't laugh at her.
Today on Brad's B.A.R.K, we are here to meet Dr. Binfet at UBC, and it's all about the B.A.R.K program. Take a look behind me, B.A.R.K. Dr. Binfet, tell us what the B.A.R.K program is.
The B.A.R.K program is a program that stands for Building Academic Retention Through Canines, and it's a program that's designed to support the social and emotional well-being of students here on campus, primarily first-year students, and around stress and homesickness.
Okay, so when we talk about stress, a lot of people are under the understanding that stress is bad. Is stress bad all the time?
Well, if it's accumulated and it's debilitating, I'm going to argue it is bad.
Okay.
I think some of it can be motivating for students, and we certainly here at UBC have high achieving students, right? This is a top university, and so the expectations for students are high. But if we have stress that goes unchecked or sort of unregulated throughout the term, and then by the time we get to exams, like you see around us, folks studying, it can be debilitating. So that's where we step in.
Okay, stress though, what does stress look like for university life, campus life?
Oh, it looks like compromised sleep habits, compromised eating habits, compromised interpersonal relationships. It hits all facets of the development of the student, and it compromises their learning. Right? So we want to create conditions here on campus that are optimal for learning, and having the B.A.R.K dogs de-escalate stress is one component of that.
I'm from Ontario, so it's nice to have somewhere you can go that's stress-free.
Why though?
I feel like we just get too caught up in school and we kind of forget about ourselves sometimes, so it's good to just take time to not think about anything.
So you go to university and all of a sudden you don't have your group of friends, you don't have your family pet, you don't have your friend's family pet. How does that play a role on a student?
It's definitely lonely for the first little bit. You're kind of trying to get your bearings and meet people, so doing things on campus is probably the best way to meet people and feel more at home.
Are you finding that dropping in tonight, for instance, it kind of takes away some of the stress and puts you into more of a relaxed mode or decompressed mode?
I think more than relaxed, it's just like you don't think about that stuff that much. It's like a good break from like our daily kind of like, you know, we always like hang out with friends and stuff. So it's like a kind of break for that. And it's kind of good to like hang out with them.
Okay, this is a B.A.R.K dog.
Yes.
How old is this B.A.R.K dog?
That dog is 6. That's a rescue dog from the 10 freeway in Los Angeles.
Okay, so you're a rescue dog from the 10 freeway in Los Angeles, California. Pretty impressive. What is this dog's name?
That's Francis. Francis Binfet.
Okay,
Yep.
Francis Binfet. How does Francis actually help students?
So UBC wants innovative research. This program is funded by the AVP's office to do exactly that, to figure out what are the mechanisms in the interactions between students and the dogs that actually decreases stress. And we know proximity to the dog, hands-on contact, and duration is critical.
Just demonstrate some hands-on contact.
The dogs in the B.A.R.K program are all used to, and you see wagging tail here, that if you see any of our footage online, you'll see just hands all over the dogs. And that's critical to decreasing stress. We know that. Proximity to ambient sort of presence around the dogs is important as well. So there are things that we know scientifically that contribute to well-being outcomes.
Okay, I've heard that the human touch should be minimum 22 times a day. If we're not hugging, right?
Yep.
We go to hug. If we do this, there's human touch.
Yeah.
But if someone is standoffish, if I go to give you a hug and you back away, whoa, I'm not going to get that human touch.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is this is a stand-in for that. Well, it can be.
It can be. And you know, people have actually written about this. The experience of university students is similar to the experience of the elderly in care facilities.
Yes.
High density environments, but very little physical contact. So you would conceivably have people go throughout their experience without this sort of like, hey, how you doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That sort of contact that we know is good for us. So my job is to help these guys bridge that distance. And what we really know from the research is that dogs are called social catalysts or social lubricants. It's a bit of an odd term, but they actually bring people together. And we know this from the B.A.R.K lab. So we're in year 5 now. 30% of our student body use the services we provide in B.A.R.K. And what we see initially is everything is focused on the dogs. Oh my gosh, look at the dog. And then actually it's just the dogs take a secondary backseat and it's just the people interacting. Our handlers were very careful in how we select people that are well suited to working with this population. And the handlers will facilitate, hey, did you know Brad's name? Right? This is Brad, nice to meet you, right? And so the handlers, they really initially will step in, help glue things together, and then they graciously sort of step back, right? And then the dogs will do the rest of the work.
I just feel like dogs have like a different and special way of like showing their love. So I think that's just like something I feel really special, and it's like so many of them. So it's just like you get a lot of love and then you can like cuddle them.
Getting to see what they do, not just in their individual, not in their group sessions on Fridays, and actually what they stand for and what their philosophies are and their bases was really interesting.
The one thing that we're looking at the animal therapy conferences, people are saying, look at the well-being of the dog. Is it in the dog's best interest to be in these environments? Here you can see with cameras and all this kind of stuff, here's a dog that's very, very complacent, used to public behavior. But that's not for all dogs.
No, it isn't.
And we really are very careful about the kind of dogs that we let into B.A.R.K. And we go through a whole series. And surprisingly, you know, we have the entire team votes. All 25 of us vote on every dog and every handler. And you could have a dog that is absolutely fantastic and then a handler who's so-so. And so that's my job to deliver that news. The dog is great. We have reservations about you as a handler. The team fails and is not admitted, right? So we're very careful that the team is well suited to working with these university students.
Not all dogs are designed or built for this type of structure.
Right.
What is your advice then if someone was to approach you and suggest or request their dog to be part of the program?
Yeah, we have a whole protocol that we go through. We already have a waiting list for next September, dogs wanting to be assessed or handlers, potential handlers wanting their dogs assessed. So we go through first an orientation of the handler. Are you aware of what's involved here? And we go through some protocols there. Then we do 2 days of assessment of the dog through a variety of different stations, anticipating what are the behaviors that dog is likely to encounter. So for example, we work with older students, but we do community work out in schools occasionally. And so the dogs have to be sound or bomb-proof with children. That's not a given. They can be fine with adults and have strong reactions. The same we actually find with ethnicity, ethnic garb, right? With skin color. Certain dogs will react with gender. So we assess for all of these
even
different
hats.
things. Absolutely. So it's this idea of anticipating what possibly could come. Now the other thing that we're really careful about is that we try to advise folks, hey, approach calmly, but if you've worked with kids with special needs or exceptional needs, or if you worked with young kids who are super excited, then they will just come and
yeah. Absolutely.
So we really take that seriously. I'm not looking, the other thing that might be interesting to discuss, Brad, is I'm not looking for robots. I don't want overly trained dogs where their personality is gone. Because we see that. I want a dog who's maybe going to still give me a kiss, right? I want a dog who's going to be excited. I don't want a dog that is flat. And because our students connect with dogs who have personality. And so we, for example, in B.A.R.K, we allow facial licks. That's been a tough one because a lot of therapy programs don't allow it. But what's happened is the kids blow on the dog's faces and then they get facial, so the dog is almost trained, conditioned to do that behavior. Is it the end of the world? No. A flat dog, if we use that term, I guess a neutral dog behavior, it doesn't bring the client in. And we want dogs that go, I'm really happy to see you.
Yes.
You're the best thing and you're important right now. And remember, these students who go all throughout the day where maybe no one's said, hey, how you doing? They haven't had maybe the most positive interactions. And lo and behold, the B.A.R.K therapy lab filled with 20 dogs, and they say, you're king right now. You're pretty important to me. So the kids just light up, and we see that.
They're getting undivided attention.
They really are.
Dogs and animals have more of an impact on people than you really think they do. One of the things we learned about B.A.R.K or learned during working with B.A.R.K was that over 80% of pet owners treat their dogs like family, and you really learn that when you're in B.A.R.K. You see that even if they're not your dog, people are treating them like they're people and enjoying talking to them and petting them and being around them. It's cool.
So are you kind of cheating on your dog at home because you're hanging out with dogs here tonight?
Not really, because I think it's just like I can give the love I give to him to them, and then kind of receive the same kind of love from them. It's not kind of cheating. It's just like taking a break.
What breeds are in this program?
I'm a big rescue guy. We work with Posit Forward, positforward.org, a local rescue group, and about 60% of our dogs are from Posit Forward. These are dogs brought up from high-kill shelters, from stray situations, abandoned situations, and they're working in our program. So this is just a celebration of the dog personality and the sort of vitality and I would say diversity of the dog as a species, right? That they can do all kinds of work. I have incredibly high expectations for this dog. She's sort of the spokeswoman for B.A.R.K in many, many ways, very public dog. And so I ask a lot of her, but I also know that she'll step up to that.
Okay, demonstrate a few things that you have her come off of the chair.
Yeah, Francis, come right here.
I'm gonna have Dr. Binfet just go through some basic commands, but they're not so basic because there's an expectation that's going to follow, and if the expectation is strong, then the dog will have the success. You can see the DOG is sitting. The DOG isn't running around, it's not shaking or trembling or anything like that. It is abiding by the simple request because there's a high expectation. Have your dog go back up on a chair.
Yeah, chair. And turn this way and stay.
Listen to how Dr. Binfet is speaking to his DOG. I'm not going to say the dog's name because that means I'm taking away any potential attention, because attention is directly on Dr. Binfet. If you watch the dog's eyes and where the nose is pointing and how the ears are, you'll recognize, and watch the tail, you'll recognize how much communication is happening visually between owner and dog. This is very powerful.
Yeah.
The reason I want to point that out is because this is a dog that is, you have untrained dogs, right. You have pretend trained dogs where
right.
people think their dog is trained,
right.
But then you have a legitimately well-trained, right. behaving dog that is educated, not trained. Right. Your dog is educated.
Yeah.
So I'll just put my money on this, that I bet that his dog will just stay calm, cool, collected as he goes and sits down with his dog. There's some money. I'm going to keep my money because just watch what happens.
Scooch over, love. Scooch over, love. Oh, come here. What's this? Up, right here. Oh, my love. How about this side? Right here. Go over here. Right here. Good. And sit. Watch. What's this? Sit. Stay. So one of the protocols we do is we'll get them to approach clients this way from the side, right? And we really want this lean in. So you see this leaning behavior, and that's this physical contact that the kids just love, right? They love. But Francis does a few things. I'll show you a protocol. Come here. Yeah, what's that? Right here? Turn over. So we do a protocol where the dogs are upside down because this is non-threatening to the client to come and approach, and so they can get a belly rub, and she'll hold this position. Right, love? I know you're excited, huh? You're excited, love, right? And so that sort of invites the students to come in. Chair.
Can I point something out here? This is interesting. This will be colleague to colleague. You see the bent paw at the wrist.
Yeah.
This means the dog is accepting.
Right.
It doesn't feel threatened.
Ah.
When you went and scratched the stomach and the leg went away from you,
right.
The dog is still saying, I accept you. If the dog was to push the leg towards you,
right.
It's saying, it's giving you a little message about maybe that's enough.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful specimen for the dog breed to show you how incredible they are. Obviously, you've sunk tens of thousands of hours into your dog, and she adores you to no end. How does she accept other people?
Well, that's just it. This is actually one of our criterion.
This is my money.
One of our criterion, I want to look at, hey Francis, come here, chair. I look at attachment to the handler, because I can't have insecure attachment. So, for example, if I leave,
Okay.
she's going to be absolutely fine here.
Okay,
right?
go ahead, leave.
Yeah, so I'll leave.
Okay.
Right, stay. She's good for an hour, typically, right? And I can't have a dog that's whining, saying, hey, where is he? What's he doing? All that. She knows I'm going to come back. And so we look at attachment to handler as one of our evaluation criteria, because the dog has to be willing to work with others and has to show an interest in others. A lot of these programs that I hear about, they'll certify the handler and dog, send them out. We don't do that. I'm always in the lab, a graduate student, somebody who knows what we're doing is there monitoring at all times. We'll maybe, you know, if a dog isn't settled, Brad, it could be as simple as a toileting issue. Send them out for a pee break, bring them back in. If they're still not settled, we might terminate the session, send them home, right? The other thing that I've learned after 5 years is they're a lot like us in our personality and our moods. You can have super steady dogs that have bad days. And so we just say, hey, this is a bad day, it's not working out, off you go, right? So I've learned a fair bit about that variability in mood and behavior with dogs.
It's interesting that you mentioned about bad days, because when I'm assessing dogs, I will not assess a dog 2 days before or 2 days after a full moon.
Oh, seriously? Yeah.
There's a 5-day cycle that can affect dogs. And I
Yeah.
know dogs that, for instance, the first harvest moon in autumn, a dog in Calgary will always, for 11 years now, will urinate in the house. Only,
But not in other times?
no,
Oh,
only during the
interesting.
harvest
Yeah.
moon.
Yeah, I mean, I work with this dog too, and so I have a kind of a unique experience. We are together constantly, unless I'm on a travel trip or something, and she does come on those too. But so I have this kind of gift of just recognizing mood and changes and increases in attention and what brought that on, and days where she's not interested in working. And so I'm mindful of that. And the whole B.A.R.K lab, we are very mindful that dogs can have off days. And so we always say, is it in the best interest of the dog? Does the dog want to do this work?
Good question.
Yeah.
It's a very good question.
And I think, honestly, you know, I go to these big international conferences on animal therapy, and people are increasingly asking, hey, under what conditions are the dogs working? So, for example, here at UBC, we offer proactive programming throughout every semester, but we don't offer it during exams, because I don't want my dogs and I don't want my handlers in that heightened sense of students who are really, really at elevated risk of stress levels, right? So we do it proactively to avoid accumulating stress, but I don't put my dogs in heightened stress situations.
What is your background with dogs?
It's the strangest thing. I am an animal guy since I was a kid, but I am actually afraid of dogs. And so I'm the first one to, you know, to get upset if somebody barks unexpectedly. I'm quite nervous around dogs, actually. And so this dog and I get along great, but I'm kind of mindful when I'm around dogs, and I've been bit as a kid, and so I love dogs. I believe in the therapeutic power of dogs, but you know, on a personal level, I'm kind of like always watching.
I know from different experiences with clients in the past, the emotional turmoil that people have gone through, and they need a dog to walk them through that stressful moment. Yeah. So you did mention people will come to the dog and they don't miss the family as much, but they miss their dog. Why do they miss the dog? What is the dog doing? How is the dog helping? What are some dark stories or scenarios that have played out where you feel that this program is actually making a difference?
Well, I'm the one guy, Brad, who gets, so as I mentioned earlier, over 30% of the student body, we've got 10,000 kids here, so we get a lot of traffic in the B.A.R.K therapy lab. And I'm the one guy who gets either the emails or the handshake from the kid with tear-filled eyes that says, I'm only here because of this. Right? I've only lasted this long because of this.
Why are they here?
And that they were ready to pack it up and move home, that the stress was too much, the expectations too high, and the dogs coming to the B.A.R.K therapy lab grounded them every week. So I hear this all the time. And now the one thing we're hearing here on campus as we're in year 5, students are choosing UBC because of the B.A.R.K therapy program. They've been accepted all over the place, and they choose UBC because they know the dogs are here. And you know, our program, we have 45 dogs. A lot of places, this is a popular intervention to do with kids, university students, but they'll have 1 or 3 dogs. we have 45. So our impact or our ability to provide support to students is big. But let me tell you about the science here, because we now have
Yes.
3 randomized controlled trials that have where we do pre-test and post-test assessments on stress, homesickness, and this other variable called campus affinity, how much they like being on campus, right, coming to school. And we see significant, from pre-test to protest, changes, reductions in stress and homesickness, increase in campus affinity from 8-week interventions with the therapy dogs. So we know scientifically that this works. And what we know about it is that duration of contact, again, and hands-on contact is critical.
Do we need to be confirmed by science?
Yeah, we do. Because
Why?
it actually helps those viewers who say, yeah, but this just...
Oh, the naysayers.
Yeah, that's why we need some science. And you know, the thing is, I think we're just at the beginning of understanding the potential that these dogs can actually contribute to the well-being of people, right? So my job is to really, I sort of investigate dosage. How much of the dog and how many dogs per student do we need and how many sessions do we need? That's the work that I do currently. The other thing that I'm curious about empirically is, I mentioned earlier, dogs are social catalysts. So we put GoPro cameras up on the ceiling above a dog station, and we just track the number of people. How many individuals did the dog attract? And then how many side conversations with no dog interaction occurred? And so I'm curious about that, because I think that holds potential for folks who are a little bit reluctant. We increasingly have people with students with autism spectrum disorder who might be socially and communication challenged. And so the dogs, I think that is a fantastic in for them to be incorporated into a micro community where people care about them.
Okay, you have a dog, you have a person that has some needs that certainly require to be fulfilled because
Right.
they're emotionally shut down. They're stressed, finals are coming up, oh my gosh, expectation from home life. What happens, or has it happened, where dog and student do not get along?
Well, I think that's part of the luxury. We bring 15 to 20 dogs in, right? And so, you know, if they don't connect immediately with one, they're welcome to move to another. But the other thing is just the ambient attention, just being in the proximity can bring people down, right? You know, I thought I'd share with you too, we have people who are actually afraid of dogs come. And that is a really curious thing to me, because I get that a little bit, but they'll start and they'll look through the window. They'll show up week 1, just look. We say, come on in. No, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
All right? We've had people wear gloves. Right?
Absolutely,
So
yes.
they just
That-
watch, and then the next time they'll come in, but they won't touch. Then they just observe, and lo and behold, over time, they're right in there, indistinguishable from everybody else. But it's a process, right? So I think that's another dimension that you can help people sort of overcome some of their challenges with dogs.
I find it interesting when I'm out, and I'm sure you've seen this, where a dog will gravitate to a non-dog liker,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I always say to the person, oh, I don't like dogs. Ew, why are dogs always coming near me? Or cats,
Yeah.
or whatever the case
Right.
may be. I always say to those people, the dog is telling you need some love.
Yeah. Well, we always say
Some dog love. And
the dog goes to those who need it the most.
yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and we see that in the lab all the time. So there'll be a bunch of people there, and the dog will go to the individual. I sort of posit that it's the person who's most emotionally fragile, and the dogs will just go. Right? She's a great example of that. She will go and sniff them out. So I don't know if it's a hormonal thing, but they really are able to find the individual who needs them the most. Yeah, it's not uncommon to have folks just break down in tears, right? That they're just petting the dog and they're just overcome, right? That's how powerful it can be, right?
Have any students been on the brink of suicide, and because of the program, they have chosen not to end their life?
Yeah, so we have all of our handlers are trained to, if we have what's called a disclosure of self-harm, right? So a student has disclosed that things are not going well and that they might harm themselves. So we have a whole protocol in place for that. And then I'm notified, we have a health and wellness center that steps in. So we have that. you know, the thing about that is it's such a personal journey, right? And we would play a small role in that. But you know, we support students on all kinds of levels. I have the best, I'll tell you this. I always say, Brad, dog people are good people. And so one of the kids who came to the drop-in was told one of the handlers, he's sleeping on the floor, right? Well, the next day, the handler finds a queen-size bed, loads it up and delivers it to this kid. That's like the continuation of the good work the dogs do, because the people care about the kids as well, right? So it's a combination of everybody, but dog people are good people, and our job is to support the kids here on campus.
If dogs could speak, hey, our language, they could tell us a lot more.
Yeah, she'd have some good stories to tell, I tell you.
We've come to the conclusion, your program, B.A.R.K, the dogs give a lot to the people.
Yeah.
How do we give back to the dog? How do they get rewarded emotionally, physically, psychologically?
You know, I know after doing this for 5 years, the handlers report that after participating in a B.A.R.K session, the dogs sleep. So I know that they are working during the sessions giving, right? Okay. They're giving energy. You know, I think on a grander scale, I really encourage the rescue of dogs. I'm a big rescue guy, and as I said earlier, Paws It Forward is a great organization. And so if you're concerned about the welfare of dogs, I say support rescue groups, and you will potentially end up with a gem like this one that was pulled off the freeway.